that change in the weather pattern. It's been hot, it's been sunny for places like New Orleans and Mobile. This is going to bring the change in the form of more rain. Now, starting to see some of that closed circulation filling in. That's what we look for in some of those the wind patterns, and we're trying to see, are these systems getting their act together down there around the Bay of Campeche? And it does seem as though we're seeing a little bit more of that closed circulation. You can see that on the visible satellite, some of the thunderstorms starting to kind of bubble up around it. A little bit of dry air in place, not exactly what you want to get those storms to form. A little bit of wind shear that it's going to encounter as it moves through the Gulf of Mexico as well. So those are actually good things. We do not want this to develop, obviously. So when you have a couple different inhibiting factors, that is actually good news. Here's what's going to happen. The tropical moisture pulled northward around that circulation of this low pressure system. It's basically like a vehicle for moisture. You know, the atmosphere is always trying to kind of balance itself out, and how it does that is via these systems like this. So strong low-level winds are going to transport that tropical moisture across the lower Mississippi Valley and really across the southeast. But what is eventually going to happen is the upper level winds are going to pick up this system, and they're going to kind of pull it farther to the north and east, and that is going to bring us more rain for inland areas. So what's going on? We do have the flight delayed. That was for earlier today for the hurricane hunters to get out there. You can see that there, but later on tomorrow they do have another scheduled. We could see this going up later today. So hurricane hunters, they are an important part of, well, that's New Orleans. You guys are actually having a wonderful day today. You could not ask for better weather for your Thursday. 87 degrees, maybe a little toasty, plenty of sunshine, but look at that dew point. When you're talking about a dew point in the lower 60s in New Orleans in mid-June, it's not feeling so bad out there, but changes are coming. I have to be the bearer. I don't coming. Well, that's no fun, but you know, we'll make it work. So here's what's happening. We've got above average soil moisture across the lower Mississippi Valley for places like New Orleans, along that I-10 corridor through Gulfport, Biloxi, even into Mobile, and we're going to add even more rain into those areas. The forecast tomorrow through Monday, look at that. Where you're seeing the yellows, that's at least 3 to 5 inches. The oranges, though, 5 to 8 inches here over Mobile Bay. You guys are getting into some of that as well, and that is a problem because the soil is already so super saturated from the rain that we've seen. In fact, New Orleans more than a foot above average in terms of rainfall. Even Mobile, you're about 3 inches above average right now for the year in terms of your rainfall. So we are seeing above average numbers across the south, so that flash flooding risk is certainly there. And also that risk for severe thunderstorms for tomorrow. Whenever you have a tropical system approaching the coast as it is, you're going to have the winds coming in from different directions. You're going to have the atmospheric instability really building up. So maybe some damaging winds, but also an isolated weak tornado can't completely be ruled out tomorrow across southern Louisiana because of that atmospheric setup that we have. So let's take a look here at what we can expect around southern Louisiana, because the rain, it's going to start as we head through tomorrow, and then it's just going to keep coming, guys, in waves, and it's going to be really heavy at times. So down around Grand Isle, we could see upwards of 5 inches. New Orleans proper, up through that 59 corridor into southern Mississippi, we could see 3 to 5 inches. So we're seeing pockets of some very impressive rainfall totals here all around Mobile Bay, guys. Look at that. We're talking 5 to 8 inches. That is problematic when you're talking about it between Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and into Monday. That is definitely going to lead to some of those flood-prone places dealing with some flooding as we move through the weekend. So those strong low-level winds around this system are going to increase. That just acts as a really efficient transporter of that moisture out of the Gulf across the coast. And with that also, that's going to increase our rip current risks as well, all along the Gulf Coast from Galveston Bay through Grand Isle, Panama City Beach. You guys are getting in on this, Destin. And of course, with it being a holiday weekend, there are going to be a lot of people wanting to get in the water. You got to be safe, guys. These rip currents are going to get dangerous really quickly. Seeing just absolutely beautiful weather. Now, this is kind of mind-blowing to me, too. When you're talking about a dew point that's down in the 50s in Atlanta in mid-June with temperatures in the lower 80s, it's feeling dry. You're feeling that very dry air. Not a cloud in the sky. Do we all just want to take a second to soak this up because it looks beautiful in the air right now? And changes are coming. Now, some storms because of what we're calling our tropical troublemaker. Regardless of naming or regardless of what it becomes, it's going to cause some trouble for us. So here's what we're looking at. That tropical moisture is going to surge northward. This is what's happening. When you have a system like this, it's basically just like a plume of this abundant tropical moisture. It spreads across the southeast. So now we're getting Georgia, the Carolinas, into some of this tropical moisture as it gets lifted up to the north and east. So those strong low-level winds become more widespread as we head through the weekend, and that really becomes a great mover of all of that moisture across the southeast, up through the Tennessee Valley, Chattanooga. You guys are getting in on that. Charleston, Albany, all of us are going to be seeing an increase in the rain compared to what we've been seeing for the past several days. Monday, that becomes more widespread. We're stretching that up into the mid-Atlantic as well with those scattered storms. And here's the thing about the storms that we're going to be coming from an abundance of tropical moisture. So some of them are really going to be able to have the ability to put down some very heavy rain all the way up through central Alabama into cities like Atlanta. And we know when you're talking about the urban areas that you can get some of that flash flooding a little bit more easily. So let's look at the forecast for Montgomery, Alabama, where it's going to remain quiet through Friday, lower 90s, kind of hot. But by Saturday, you start to see that rain moving in, and certainly Sunday into Monday, you've got that chance for some scattered storms. A closer look there for Montgomery, you'll notice 3 to 5 inches of rain as we look up toward Alexander City and down through Greenville as well. So it's definitely going to be a wet time there. Now, the rain is going to keep coming for a place like Atlanta Saturday into Sunday into Monday. Will it be raining constantly for your Father's Day weekend? No. But is that going to be the main thing on the menu? Yes, it will. So if you're trying to make those plans for Dad, you might want to make some indoor plans or celebrate on Friday because, yeah, it's going to be a bit of a wet time. Again, around Atlanta, 3 to 5 inches of rain possible as you look up toward Marietta. Again, you could see up to 3 inches, some locally higher amounts. Noonan, you're in that swath of heavier rain through Monday as well. So we are going to see those wet conditions continuing around the Atlanta metro area. The extremely dangerous heat, the terrible drought that we have going on out west. I just can't really stress enough how mind-blowing it is that we're seeing so much of this region in extreme to exceptional drought. Guys, this is a truly dangerous situation for this area, especially as we head into the more fire-prone months, and especially because it's just been so hot and dry. So you'll notice a city like Las Vegas, a good chunk of Utah, much of the western Four Corners region, in exceptional drought. That is the highest level of drought that you can get to. It doesn't go any higher than that, and we've not seen much change in that for months at this point. The heat alerts exacerbating those problems, excessive heat warnings for places like Phoenix into Vegas and Fresno, and we've been seeing this heat stick around for days now. That's part of the problem. For a place like Death Valley, California, your forecast today, 125, and then overnight you're only getting down into the upper 90s. That is the type of heat that you're just not getting any relief from, even overnight. So here's what's going on, that high pressure, that dome of heat remaining in place across the desert Southwest. So the temperatures for today, in Phoenix, the forecast 118, Sacramento 110, even Denver, a place that, you know, you say, oh, name some really hot places in the U.S. Denver is probably not one of the places that immediately pops up into your head, but it's going to be a hot one there. So the forecast for today in Phoenix, 118, that would blast away the old record of 114. Vegas, we're headed for a record today, a record that's been around since 1940. So we're talking about some really old records falling. So it gets dangerous very quickly. Even a place like Chicago, where you might hear 91, of course that's hot, but it's not, you know, the 112 of Tucson. But after just 10 minutes in Chicago, inside your car, it's going to be 110 degrees. That's why we show you the scorching car scale, to show you just how quickly it heats up, and to remind you it is never safe to leave the kids or the pets in the car for any amount of time. Even if you think you're just running in, it can get dangerous really quickly. Now tomorrow the heat is continuing. A place like Wichita, you're going to be in the triple digits very easily. Sacramento up to 110, Dallas even 100 degrees. So as we're heading into the Friday of your holiday weekend, that heat is on. It's sticking around. You know what? Actually, it just made me think. Good idea for Father's Day across the desert Southwest. Maybe something to cool Dad off. One of those little, like, spray fans. You know what I'm talking about? You spray the water, the fan blows. I just got your dad his Father's Day present. You're welcome. So tomorrow, the heat's sticking around. Phoenix, the forecast 117. The record high 115 from 2015. So yeah, Phoenix, it's going to be a scorcher. If you're planning on doing any hiking in the Phoenix area, you might want to hold off until maybe some of the heat resides, or at least go very early in the morning or late in the evening. Saturday, still keeping that very, very high heat around, and that's going to be Kansas City. You've got the heat. You can see that it's feeling like 93 degrees there. The wind's starting to blow, but we're also going to have to look at that possibility for some severe weather across portions of the middle part of the country as we head through the next several days. We're going to talk about that coming up after the break. We're going to take a look at who else is dealing with all of this heat, and also I'm going to look at your weekend in view. What are you going to have in your area for Father's Day? I'll tell you. Those cooler beverages, though, because the dehydration in this type of heat is real. So here's what we're looking at, guys. Heat advisory across portions of southern Iowa. We're going to stretch that back through Nebraska and Kansas. You can see KC, you're included in that, as well as Omaha. We're talking about, once you factor in the actual temperature and the humidity in these areas, it's going to feel upwards of 100 degrees, could feel like 105 degrees at the peak of the afternoon. So you just want to make sure that you're being safe. Here, this is the forecast for today. Look at this. This is mind-blowing to me. So when you talk about breaking a record by a degree or two, that's not that crazy. But when you're talking about in Des Moines, the forecast being 102 and the old record being 94, and check this out, 1933. That's when we set the old record. So we're talking about a very, very old record just getting smashed today in Des Moines. That's a lot. Omaha, even same thing for you, a record that's more than 100 years old is going to get smashed today, most likely. So you're really looking at heat that we have not seen in Chicago. Today, quiet in Chicago. Tomorrow, also pretty quiet in Chicago. Actually, now that we're looking at this, 79 degrees doesn't sound so bad to me after we were talking about 105. But in Chi-Town, you guys do have for severe weather as a frontal boundary is going to be moving through. Some cooler, drier air behind that frontal boundary. But what's happening is it's interacting with this very warm, moist air mass, and that is going to give us the ingredients that we need to get some of these storms going. So later on tonight in Chicago, you start to see those storm chances rumbling up, maybe even some strong to severe storms. But the focus here is especially south of that 90 corridor and north of that 80 corridor across northern portions of Iowa, southern portions of Minnesota. We've got that risk for winds that could be upwards of 75 miles an hour. So we're talking about hurricane strength winds possible in some of these storms. Hail the size of baseballs. You do not want to leave your car outside tonight if you have the option to put it in a garage. And we also have torcons in place for today for this area. Torcons of 2 to 3 possibility on our scale of 10. So is that, you know, a 7? No, it's not. But is this still the possibility for a couple tornadoes? Yes, it is. So Mason City, Dubuque, I want to make sure you guys know that you could be dealing with some very, very strong storms later this evening through tonight as well. So here's what it looks like currently. A little bit of a remnant of the cluster that dived south into northern Missouri yesterday, but we're really going to start to see things kind of maturing and becoming more widespread in the area of those strong storms as we head into the later part of today. So here's 6 o'clock. We've got that chance for those storms bubbling up across portions of Wisconsin. You see that complex diving south across northern Iowa, across Milwaukee, getting in on that overnight as well, and then eventually into Chicago. So we're in a very unsettled pattern, and that is in view now because it is an important holiday weekend. Shout out to all the dads out there. So for today, we've got that chance for the heat sticking around across the desert southwest. By Friday, some rain moving into the Gulf Coast areas, and by Saturday, more rain for places like Atlanta and into the southeast.